Tickling. As the father of a 1-year-old, I do quite a bit of it these days, but it turns out tickling is also a thing among consenting adults. Sounds reasonably benign, so why has a new documentary about competitive tickling created such an uproar? Here's ABC's David Wright.
Competitive endurance tickling. You heard me, competitive endurance tickling. This is a video produced by a website called Jane O'Brien Media, one of the odder cul-de-sacs on the internet, odd enough to tickle the fancy of New Zealand feature reporter David Farrier.
I just thought this is the craziest story of all time.
I mean, I didn't even know tickling was a thing.
Neither did we.
No.
That's the thing. We had no idea.
There's a market for these videos, and according to Farrier and his co-director Dylan Reeves, there's a menacing side too. They followed the breadcrumbs, and they say opened themselves up to taunts
Shame on you.
and legal threats. Their new documentary, Tickle, debuted at Sundance and will soon be on HBO. It's now the focus of a bizarre controversy.
You think that I shoot pornography with clothes on?
Yes.
With representatives of the tickling community attending the premieres, accusing the filmmakers of distorting what they do. You're saying this is a hatchet job, this movie?
That's a polite word for it. It is a dishonest way to make money and to gain fame.
The filmmakers insist that's not the case. They say it all started innocently enough.
And I reached out to this company saying, I'm curious about this tickling competition. What's it about? And the very first reply on their public Facebook wall was, we don't want to deal with a homosexual journalist.
Which is weird, right? The videos are guys tickling other guys. They're undeniably homoerotic.
I mean, that was such a strange response.
Farrier says the exchanges got even more hostile from there.
We're shooting a documentary, so we'll keep...
I understand what you think you're doing. I'm not going to allow you to treat me without respect.
People are very passionate about it.
And this is a full-time job for you?
It's a full-time job.
Richard Ivey has his own tickling site, unrelated to Jane O'Brien Media. His site features men in various stages of undress, and put it this way, the tickling isn't always limited to the torso and the legs. He invited the filmmakers to observe a session.
Probably about 75% of the scenes are completely clothed. That's what people are after, just the tickling.
Is this pornography?
I say that it's erotica.
It's uncomfortable to watch, I gotta say.
Sure, yeah. I think the turn on is a kind of power over someone.
Seeing someone with a six-pack squirm.
Right, exactly. And do it in a safe way, in a playful way, a consensual way.
Some of Richard Ivey's videos are overtly sexual. Jane O'Brien Media insists its videos are not sexual in any way. Jane O'Brien's videos do feature young, fit, ticklish guys. The company calls them fitness models, ages 18 to 25. But they keep their clothes on, promising the models very high pay, no adult content ever.
Sometimes I'm very ticklish, and sometimes I'm extremely ticklish. Just depends on who's doing it.
But the filmmakers allege that the practices of Jane O'Brien Media are not all so innocent. They interviewed former fitness models like TJ, who told them that he was paid handsomely for appearing in the videos.
Every time I've been tickled, I don't think it's been very fun.
TJ tells the filmmakers he eventually had a change of heart and asked Jane O'Brien Media to take down the videos featuring him. He says YouTube ultimately did remove the videos at his request. And he says that's when Jane O'Brien Media started emailing his employers.
I have additional information as a past employer. You don't want this guy in your league. Can you afford the distraction, the press, with an outed gay guy having a male tickling fetish in which he likes to tickle and be tickled by tied-up other gay athletes and bodybuilders?
False accusations saying I'm a drug addict and I was a child molester and I'm gay and this and that, which none of those things have ever been true.
They sent emails to a school where he was coaching kids, suggesting that he was an out gay tickling fetishist, which, I mean, that wasn't true. It was an effort to punish him for dropping out or for not wanting to come back.
Did you take any of the videos of TJ that ended up getting posted?
I shot TJ, so whatever there is probably yes. I certainly don't trust what he says.
Producer Kevin Clark of Jane O'Brien Media says he doesn't condone what happened to TJ, but insists he personally had nothing to do with it.
It is wrong, but it's not black and white, this this reality you're discussing.
How is it not black and white? What do you mean?
Because there are good things and there are bad things. And
You're saying the good thing is that some people got
we're talking about 99% of the people having a good experience and 1% or less not.
For the 1% for whom it went wrong, if that's a fair number, and I'll take your word, it went very wrong.
Yes, and I would assume that there's legal recourse to that.
Clark has launched a website rebutting the Tickled documentary point by point. He accuses the documentary producers of paying for interviews and coaching interview subjects.
He coached me through the whole thing, saying it would be better for publicity.
Clark also put Nightline in touch with several other Tickling models who told us they had a good experience with Jane O'Brien Media. Is Jane O'Brien Media a legit company?
Jane O'Brien Media is a legit company, yes.
Do you try to blackmail people?
Never.
One of the subjects of the documentary is taking legal action against the filmmakers, accusing them of defamation and invasion of privacy.
I was at a film festival a couple of months ago in Missouri, and a woman tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Are you David Farrier?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You're served," and handed me 2 lawsuits.
One of the big questions at issue in this case: who actually owns Jane O'Brien Media? The filmmakers allege that it's this guy, David D'Amato, who served time for computer fraud in connection with Tickling videos.
Okay, let's go.
The filmmakers confront him on a street in Long Island. What did you observe based on your conversation with him?
The conversation was short and didn't contain any useful information. He basically just threatened us with legal stuff.
You know, the MO of this person is to intimidate. Because of those lawsuits, I'm kind of restricted even in what I can talk about with you. Like, it literally limits what I can say.
D'Amato is the one suing them.
Are you really that interesting? No, well, yeah, in this circumstance you are.
He has since been spotted at the LA premiere of Tickled. He even spoke up during the Q&A session.
As we say in New York, Los Angeles TV, you need to lawyer up.
Nightline reached out to D'Amato, but through his attorney, he declined our request for an interview. Sure. Is David D'Amato connected to your company, Jane O'Brien Media, in any way?
No, not to my knowledge. That doesn't mean he isn't, but not to my knowledge.
What do you mean?
I don't ask my boss who his boss is or who he's working for. I have no knowledge. And I do, like anyone else in the world, have non-disclosures of what I can and can't talk about. But the answer about David D'Amato is no.
He put us in touch with his boss, a guy named Louis Peluso, who also insisted that D'Amato has no connection whatsoever with Jane O'Brien Media. We told the filmmakers, who told us they stand by their guns.
This is a company and a person who hides behind these huge walls of anonymity. It's about power and control, this whole thing. Tickling in itself is a big power play. You've got someone who is in control, the tickler. You've got the person being tickled, the ticklee, who has no power. And that's almost a metaphor for the whole film.
So are you guys the ticklers in that scenario, or the tickler?
I think we're both.
Their cameras exposing a tender underbelly to the internet. What it all means and what harm it might potentially pose, that's for somebody else to decide. I'm David Wright for Nightline in New York.